Should criminals serving life sentences be allowed home for Christmas? Well, the Ministry of Justice have said around 100 prisoners will be able to enjoy a festive family break. But is it a good idea, or should prison mean punishment? OK, well, joining us now in the studio, we have Pamela Martin, whose son Andrew was killed back in 2006. 2 years later, his killer was given leave to spend time at home. Pamela says her family were given a life sentence when they lost Andrew. Beside her, Juliet Lyon, who is the director of the Prison Reform Trust. Prison Reform Trust says temporary leave for prisoners helps with rehabilitation. Good morning to you both.
Good morning. Morning.
Rehabilitation or justice, which should come first?
I don't think that's the choice. I think the two sit side by side. And what we're seeing is a prison service that's doing its best to make sure that there are fewer victims in future. So this scheme where people go out released on temporary licence, usually in fact to work, often voluntarily, that's a scheme which enables the staff to supervise a gradual re-entry. It usually comes at the end of a long sentence. The success rate is phenomenal. So out of around 450,000 releases like this, in the year, in last year, around about 15 were arrested, suspected of a further offence. Now, that compared to the ordinary reconviction rates that most of us would find unacceptable, half the people in 1 year of release reconvicted. This is a better scheme. It works better to protect the public.
But Julian, it's not the re-offence that maybe people are offended about or worried about. They're worried about the actual release. And when we hear Pamelas Story and your son Andrew and what happened to him, I mean, you obviously believe that the man involved just shouldn't have been out of prison at all.
Definitely not when he did get out. I mean, he got an 8-year sentence. He came out for festive period after a year and a half. He was found in a public house 3 miles up the road from where I live with mother.
He stabbed your son through the heart?
Yeah, one stabbing through the heart.
And of course, the thing is with this as well, is that, OK, rehabilitate, bring them back into the community. But what about for Pamela here, who 3 miles down the road from her house, any one of her family could have walked into this pub, seen this man that had killed her son. What impact does that have on you? I mean, you must
have been... They might have killed him and then we're back to square one.
Or you don't know how you're going to react if faced with him.
It's a circle, but festive period, as I say, you get out after a year and a half, you get caught, he denied all knowledge, he get put back inside, get his weekends revoked off him, and he get released 4 years to the day that he murdered my son.
So his sentence was over and done with after 4 years?
Yeah, but he broke parole conditions again for a second time, and he had to go back in and spend the rest of the remaining sentence to do the full 8 year.
So, so what would happen, for example, in your situation where a prisoner is let out, they've got these conditions that they have to meet, if, such as the man that murdered her son, didn't apply to the conditions that were put down, he went out and was drinking, which was something that he wasn't been meaning to do, what would happen in that situation? He wasn't punished?
They'd be taken back to prison. Well, it sounds like he was taken back to prison, and it sounds like when he broke his parole, he had to serve the whole time behind bars, which is right. That is what happens. Normally, with a long sentence, you serve half of it behind bars and half of it under supervision in the community. And here in England and Wales, if you're on a life sentence, it means life. You're going to be supervised for the rest of your life. And that's how it works. So if you do break the rules, then you're back, and that's as it should be.
Can you understand people who think, I mean, you're talking about good behaviour and rehabilitating people, but when good behaviour was required, as in this case, good behaviour wasn't there. Surely it's too late to worry about good behaviour thereafter.
Well, what you want to do is protect and prevent the next victim. I don't feel, listening to Pamela's story and talking to other victims, that victims are taken sufficiently into account. So if somebody is going to be released, I think that victims should know. I think it's really important, and they should be involved in the discussion about why that's happening. But the decision's taken by the prison governor, and it's based on the fact that they assess somebody as no risk to the public. If they thought they were a risk, they wouldn't be letting them out. If someone breaks the rules, like drinking, which they're not allowed to do, going to a public house, then it's not surprising they then get taken back to prison.
Pamela, do you feel that there is so much support for the perpetrator of the crime, and yet for you and your family...
100%. The governor of the prison that he was at had told the CID officers and police officers and prison officers in Edinburgh that he was getting released They never told the rest of the police officers where I come from. It's Glasgow. So he could have went anywhere. They wouldn't have found out. But obviously, I didn't find out till I found out there was a picture of him at 1 in the morning in a public house sitting with a girl 3 miles up the road from me, and I contacted CID. That's the only reason he got put back inside. He would still have been out.
That's pretty rough justice for you.
It really is.